We have got a spicy Fact or Fiction. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for being here. Listen, there's a billion things you could be doing with your time right now. We live in a very distractible time of this world and society. So for every second you spend here, honestly, thank you. Same with Rajiv. For every second he spends here, I thank him. And for every second you spend watching his show, I'm sure he would thank you for that as well. Thank you for being part of this community. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 to use in bonus bets across the app. Download the app today. Today's episode, we are doing Fact or Fiction. Again, if you haven't seen one of these episodes before, Rajiv and I both have some Fact or Fiction takes. We don't share them with each other. We break them out and we talk about them. And in the chat, we love if you guys agree, fact or fiction on all of them. That's kind of the point of the show. Rajiv, you said you got one you want to start off with. So we're going to kick it to you to start this.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a hot topic right now in the last couple of days. So let's just talk about it. So fact or fiction, you can frame it right or wrong and then fact or fiction it. But fact or fiction, Barry Alvarez was right to blast Badger fans for booing and chanting fire Fickell.
So this would have been my first one too. So this is great. This one I would struggle with because this is truly a spot where I find middle ground, if I'm going to be completely honest, because I'm not a booer. If I'm going to be completely honest, I am not a person who boos unless I see obvious lack of effort, which I don't think is the case. I'm going to be straight up honest. I don't think that's the case. So I'm not a booer. However, I also feel like it is within people's rights to boo. People have put a lot of money in this program now. You put a lot of time into this program. NIL's a thing. There's the collective. There's all these things that people are doing to put into the program. And it is fair to have a level of expectations, right? So that's kind of me laying out both sides of this for me. I'm going to say it is fiction. If the question is, which one's fiction again? Sorry.
Yeah, so the fiction is saying that it's okay for I was saying Barry was right. He was correct in what he said. So fiction means that he wasn't right.
I'm going to say if I have to choose one or the other, I'm saying it's fiction. I'm saying it's fiction for a couple of reasons. Barry is saying fans are spoiled. Not really recently. A lot of those fans that are booing are 18, 19 years old. The last 5-6 years, because you don't become a fan until you're 12, 13 years. Like the last 5 years, you haven't been spoiled. You haven't been going to good bowl games. You haven't been competing for the Big Ten. You've been getting blasted. You didn't go to a bowl game last year. We just lost 27-10 to Maryland. We've got housed twice in a row against Alabama. We lost 42-10 to Iowa last year. Minnesota took our lunch money and then kicked us in the dirt. No, I think Badger fans traditionally have had a great run. We've talked about it. Recently, they haven't been spoiled. And if you bring in a coach like this and you spend the type of money you do and you say, we're going to talk about championships, I think it is fair if fans want to boo. I think that's fair. Again, I don't do it. I wouldn't do it, but that's a personal thing, me. I think it's fair if fans want to.
So yeah, I feel very strongly about this. And it's why I listed as my first one. I'm a big believer in that fans absolutely need to have a voice. And one of my biggest gripes with all of American sports is that fans' opinions and fans, like what they're voicing their displeasure, their involvement in their teams is next to nothing as far as their ability to really have a voice at the table. As you all know, I'm a big fan of an English soccer team, and in England, things are very different. Like fans actually have, like there's an advisory board, there's an official fan supporters club that meets with the team, that meets with the clubs. Like they have a bigger stake because at the end of the day, fans are the only people that stay with the program. Coaches come and go, players come and go, staff come and go, owners come and go, athletic directors, presidents, you name it, they come and go, except us. We're the ones that don't leave. We're the ones that should have the biggest say in the program. But fans of American sports don't have a say, and I think it's complete nonsense. So we are the lifeblood of any program. We pay for the jerseys. We pay for the concessions. We pay for the tickets. We watch the games on TV, which is why the Big Ten has a massive contract that they do from CBS and Peacock and all this other nonsense, because people watch the games, because we are the people that give money to the program. I love Barry Alvarez. Barry Alvarez is the godfather of Wisconsin football. He deserves all the credit in the world. The statue up there, it can be 10 times his size because he is an absolute legend. But he was wrong. And I mean, as a fan, you absolutely have the right to boo. You have a right to say those things. What you don't have a right to do is be disrespectful and make, individual insulting comments, which nobody was doing. Fire Fickell. I wouldn't do it either. I'm also not a booer. I booed the Badgers one time. Oh, and I don't remember, it was maybe 2001 when we got smoked by Antoine Randall and Indiana came in there and owned us. I booed. That was awful. I was sitting in the front row of section O and I was about as pissed as I've ever been. I booed, but I'm not a booer, and I'm not going to go there and boo, and I'm not going to yell fire Fickell. But I absolutely believe that everyone has a right to do that. And for Barry Alvarez, the godfather of our program, to say that they're spoiled rotten, and if they want to do that, go somewhere else, go to a bar and do somewhere else, buddy, you're going to have the entire Camp Randall out of there. You can't say that. And I think it's really wrong of him, and it's absolutely fiction. Fans deserve a voice. You can't just... fans are not just people that are just like, oh, that whatever they say, don't listen to the fans. Yes, listen to the fans. Like, we're the people that support the program. We're the people that do everything for that program. Without the fans, programs are nothing. NFL teams are nothing. College teams are nothing. Everyone's nothing without the fans that support them. So I don't want to hear anything about the fans not having a right to do that. We have seen nothing but, frankly, crap from the last 5 games of last year up until now. We've had one half of good football, and that's basically the second half against Middle Tennessee State. That's not good enough. So, yeah, like, we were a high floor program. We were that team that had that. We absolutely have the right to boo. I hate that he said that. I love Barry Alvarez, but I think that was wrong. And if you are a fan and you go to Camp Randall and you want to boo, you do it, because then put a better product on the field if you don't want people to boo.
A couple things I want to hit on quick. I think you said that really, really well. Really passionate. A couple things I want to hit on. Fans boo because they care. You can't have it both ways. You can't be excited. You can't talk about, we need you to come and show up. You hear the entire offseason, we need you to be there to show up. We need Camp Randall to be hostile. You can't just have it when it's going well. Like, the fans, they're not just there to cheer when it's going well, then sit quietly when it's not. You can't have it both ways. If you want them to cheer when it's going well, you have to accept criticism when it's not. That's fair. That is just fair. The other part about this that bothered me is it came off really tone deaf. I made to someone else, I made an example of, this is a business. And if you were the CEO of a business or an influential part of a business, and a big part of your customer base was dissatisfied with something you were doing, and they were starting to be, this isn't working. No, you would not tell them to shut up and go somewhere else.
Right.
You would acknowledge, like, hey, this is, I hear you. We love this too. Like, acknowledge it, right? Understand that people are pissed because they love this program. You want that. Because if I'm telling you, if you start telling them don't boo or leave, people will leave, and then it becomes apathy. So I thought it was tone deaf as well. I will say this. Barry has obviously a vested interest here, and he's an emotional guy, right? Like, I wonder in retrospect if he would reword it a little bit. I know he did a follow-up article with Jim Polzin, which I didn't get a chance to read, but yeah, I'm 100% with you. I didn't like the comment, and I think it comes off a little tone deaf.
Yeah, I just feel like, there's got to be an understanding. And like you said it very well. Like, it's a business. This is like, we're paying customers. They're paying the players. Luke Fickell makes millions of dollars to do a job that he hasn't done. Like, what do you want from us? Like, of course we're upset. Like, we literally pour our blood, sweat, and tears in this program. Like, if you're listening to this show right now, it's because you love the Badgers, and maybe you're a Minnesota fan and you love the want to wallow in our sorrows. That's fine. Sure. But like, that's what it's like, you can't fault us for that. You can't fault fans for doing that. And I'm not a booer, but I don't blame anyone for it. And because I just feel like, like, you put a better product on the field, and it was, your tone deaf is the right word for it. And I really wish you would have done it, because he's a really big part of this program's history. And again, Godfather, like, love everything about that man. Didn't love these comments.
Got the name on the field. All right, we're gonna need to take a break there. We got through one factor fiction.
Sorry, man. I was a little long-winded there.
This was great. No, this is 100%. Nick says, obviously, good friend of the show. Nick says, preach. Someone else in here said, Rajiv, great take from Adam N. We did get a question or a comment from Scott saying he was specifically talking, it's not fair to the players. Scott said, I missed the comment, but yep, he said it is not fair to the players. I think Rajiv might have a similar take on this. We are in an era where players get paid quite a bit of money. Again, never make it personal. I would draw a line anywhere if it becomes personal, but you can critique the play on the field. I think that's fair.
I mean, again, this is entertainment industry. Like, how much money is made off college football? How much money do the universities make? Like, this is a paying business. We are paying our share to be entertained. And I just feel like as fans, this is the only way that you can voice your displeasure, because again, we don't have a seat at any table. We're not a part of anything. Like, so fans have to voice their displeasure in a certain way. And when fans do that, I'm sorry, you're up against a break. When fans do that, then you see real change. Why did Manukin come out with a vote of confidence? Why did Chris Magnush come out with a vote of confidence? Because the fans booed, because the fans made their voices heard, and they realized, okay, we need to come out and say something now. That's the fans making their voice.
There's another way fans can talk about displeasure. It's going to be my next fan or fiction coming up next. We got to take a quick second for our friends of the show over at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about getting there with some substance, some style, with a little bit of energy, with a little bit of a voila. That's what Mazda does. Delivers confidence with every ride, top safety picks, plus all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through any season, which, listen, we're in fall now. I live in northern Wisconsin. I know Rajiv isn't going to see a bunch of snow this year. I will. That all-wheel standard is going to be important for me. Like every player, Mazda sweats every single detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode also brought to you by our incredible friends over at Monarch Money, a service I personally use. They're like my CFO. Because like a lot of people, you have maybe a mortgage with this company and a credit card with this one and an investment with this one and a debit card with this one. Monarch brings it all together, one visual dashboard. You can see everything in one place, plan your goals, see your spending, see some thoughts. Maybe you're spending more money than you thought you were. Monarch is visual, but it also has every bit of data for the data nerds that are out there. It is great. It is a personal financial tool. Take control of your financials with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Rajiv, you ready for my first one?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Fact or fiction, I tease this. There is another way for fans to show their displeasure, and that is by not coming. Fact or fiction, there will be a couple home games this year that feel like takeovers from the opposing team.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a fact. I don't like that. I hate that. I hate that for our team, just because I want to have home field advantage. Means a lot in college football. So I want to be able to have that for these home games. I think like game like Iowa, probably that won't happen because it's homecoming, and there's a lot of people. We're going to be there. So let's go on that. But yeah, I think it's fact, because there's, again, like someone said it. I think I heard Zach Halpern say this, and he said like one of the biggest fears is apathy, right? The apathy is not what you want as fans. And if that's where Badger fans are getting, we go through these phases of being upset, angry, and apathy's after that. And there are programs out there that have apathetic fans. Look at Indiana prior to last year. That is the definition of apathy. Now they've turned it around. Good on them. But there's so many schools that are like that just people are like, we don't really care. We focus on the other program, the basketball program, Duke football. Like there's a lot of things out there that are just apathetic. You will have that. And it is a sad day in Wisconsin athletics when that happens, because you look at any list anywhere about the top, home environments, stadiums, Camp Randall's up near the top of almost any one of those lists because of jump around, because of the atmosphere that was built over the last 30 years. And what's taken 30 years to build has come crashing down pretty hard. That's the magnitude of what we're talking about here. So absolutely, it's a fact.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat has gone fact on this, which is just Nick Hitchens over. It's going to be overrun with Ohio State fans. Will says fact. Scott says true. A says fact. Tim says fact. Greg says fact, and I agree it's a fact. Listen, I think that Ohio State game, the way they played, I think there's a lot of Wisconsin fans that are going to prefer, I'm just going to stay home. I'm not going to spend the money. I'm not going to go try to find a place to park. Maybe I'll tailgate and head to a bar, right? I think there's going to be a lot of Ohio State fans there. I think Iowa, like you mentioned, has a chance to get a lot of Iowa fans there. And it's a bummer, but you talked about how can fans show frustration. If you don't want them in the stadium being upset, then they're just not going to come. And you will have 30,000 Iowa fans. You'll have 35,000 Ohio State fans. And that'll play out on a national broadcast. Those games should be recruiting moments. Those games should be the type of games you bring your high-level athletes in, your 2027 kids, and show them how great Camp Randall is. Because make no mistake, Camp Randall's awesome. When the team's playing well and it's rocking, Camp Randall's freaking phenomenal. you're not going to have those great environments because I don't think the team's going to come to play. And I don't think fans are going to show up because of it.
6 consecutive Big Ten losses. That's something that I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime in this program. And when you produce that on the field, you're going to get this. And if Barry's telling you not to come to the game if you don't want to boo, so hey, don't go to the game like that. I mean, it's going to make a difference when people talk about the buyout and Luke Fickell and those kinds of things, and it's like, well, I mean, how much money is being lost by not doing it? There's so many layers to that and nuance to it, and yeah, I totally am with you on this.
Wow, what's your next one?
Yeah, so my next one, back to on-field product a little bit here. Okay, fact or fiction, assuming Billy is still not ready given his early departure from the Maryland game, Hunter Simmons should start at quarterback over Danny O'Neal for the Michigan game.
Yeah, this is a fair question. Are we assuming Danny O'Neal's healthy? I think obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Assuming Danny O'Neal's ready to go and assuming that Billy is not quite ready to go, they're not going to play Billy.
I think that's fiction. I don't think Hunter Simmons should get the start. And listen, I talked pretty highly about Hunter Simmons given the context of where he was and, coming into the program when I saw him in Platteville. I like the arm. He's got a good arm. He stands in there. The fact of the matter is he's pretty immobile, and this offensive line cannot hold up. And I think you are going to see a lot more trouble if a quarterback can't move around a little bit and extend a few plays. So I understand that there's frustration with the way Danny O'Neal played. I think that frustration's fair. I don't think he played great against Maryland for sure. I think the fact, he has 44 carries this year. That counts sacks. That's more than Dylan Jones. So the reason I bring that up is Grimes is using him as an extension of the run game because we can't run the ball. So if you take that out, you're going to have an immobile quarterback behind an offensive line that hasn't held up against Michigan, and he's going to be starting on the road. Danny's already started on the road. He's been in Alabama. He's been in that environment. I think you'd be setting Hunter Simmons up to get his head taken off, quite frankly. I'm going to say fiction. I think Danny should be the starter if he's healthy.
So I'm going to go fact on this because my simple take is nothing else is working, Ryan. That's the simplest way to say it. I appreciate the skill set that Danny O'Neal has. I really do. And you're right. He's an extension of the running game. It's shocking to me that Dylan Jones and Darian Dupree and Cade Yakimelli have a combined 84 carries, I think, in 4 games. That's not a lot given like 3 backs. It's not. And you're right, because Danny O'Neal's had a lot of them. But it's not working because he's just not an effective quarterback as far as throwing the ball and putting us in situations like we can't run, which means we need to pass, which means we need to be able to do something to kickstart this offense. And I know it was garbage time. I know it's the end of the game. I know Maryland starters weren't out there. I know they were probably like, we already won this game. But Hunter Simmons looked pretty good throwing the ball. He surveyed the field. I always talk about this. Like he's a guy he's a true quarterback. He's really out there looking. He's got a much stronger arm than Danny O'Neal. I think we can all agree to that. And it's different, something that's not working. So I would rather see Simmons out there than O'Neal right now, because overall he's got more experience playing in college. And I'm not saying it's high level, but he's got a better arm. And what we're doing simply isn't working. So I'm okay with changing it because, I mean, and I know the argument against it might be, okay, well, why play the older guy when we have the younger guy who might be our quarterback next year? Like, let's get him experience. I hear that too, but I want to win. And I know that we're already 2-2 and it's not looking good, but I want to have a chance. So to me, in a very small sample size, Hunter Simmons gives us a better chance to win. I would choose Hunter Simmons.
Yeah, and there's kind of people on both sides of this. So Mitch James, I mean, all those are really great points, by the way. You're right. He did look good against Maryland, and he does give you a bigger arm. And I would also say potentially he gets rid of the ball a little quicker, which negates some of the pass.
The decision-making, yes, which, again, you continue to see with Danny O'Neal. Like, there's times where I'm like, just get rid of the ball.
I think that's fair. Mitch James says, I'd like to see Hunter Simmons. Jim Thompson says fiction on Simmons. Will says fiction, but not too familiar with him. So I think KPB says fact. It'll save O'Neal's life. So I think it's pretty mixed in the comments, which I think is fair, because I do think you could find a point on each side. I just go back to the idea that, first of all, neither of these are great options. Let's start there. Neither of these quarterbacks are designed to elevate an offense. Both of them need a functional offensive line and a functional running game to work. The fact that we have neither maybe brings us back to the original starting point. What does it matter? Maybe that's the real question. Does it matter? Because I don't think it matters for either of these quarterbacks if the offensive line plays the way it has and we can't run the ball at Michigan. I think both of them are going to get their heads taken off in the pocket.
For sure. And then that's why you're right. It doesn't, but I think you made a really good point about him releasing the ball a little faster. That will help the offensive line. And at the end of the day, like, just let's change it up. We got to change it up. Like, nothing's working right now. And listen, obviously my hope is that Billy plays. You know how I feel about Billy Edwards. I want him to play. If he's healthy and can play, fantastic. But if he's not, give the ball to Simmons.
Yeah, I think we disagree on this one. We're going to agree to disagree on this one, which is
that's okay. That's great.
Part of the beauty of this show. All right, we'll take one more quick break, come back. We got more fact or fiction for you. Plus, if you're in the chat, let us know where you're at on both of these. Always appreciate you guys. Today's episode, Rajiv, is brought to you by our good friends.
Yes, our good friends over at FanDuel, the best time of the year, football season. It's not always been the greatest time for Badgers, but NFL is here. You know how I feel about that. Go Colts. And FanDuel's the place to get all your bets done. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Listen, it's not just about picking the spreads, picking money lines, player props, in same game parlays. This is one of my favorite new things to do, by the way, same game parlays. You can actually go in there and talk about player stats, combine that with who wins or loses, combine that with over and unders potentially. There's so many combinations. You don't like the line, you want to tease the line either way, you can do that too. FanDuel gives you all the options. And listen, it's a lot of fun. You go in and start on kickoff Sunday morning, and you can just you can start with early morning games. You can bet in game too. So you see how the action unfolds. You can make changes. You can hedge bets. You can do all sorts of things. Then get ready for the late games. There's so many options with FanDuel. It is the premier spot to do your sports betting. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, Rajiv, let me hit you with my next one. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The current over-under on Wisconsin is 3.5 wins. That's the current updated live. Fact or fiction, they win 4 games or more.
Gosh, I knew you were going to ask this. I was thinking, I didn't list this one because I was like, I feel like Ryan's going to go there with this. I'm going to say fact, but it's truly my heart talking and not my head. It's all here. Like, it's the fact that 5-7 was painful enough for me. To see a record that's worse than that might make me want to throw up. Like, I can't see it. And that would also mean that we wouldn't have the axe. We wouldn't have, I got to think we can try to find a way to get to 4, man. Like, I really want to believe we can find a way to get to 4. I realize that many people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm going to, again, it's just my heart. So I'm going to say fact. Fact was 4 wins, right? Is that what that was?
Yep.
Okay.
Or
yeah.
more,
I'm going to say fact,
4.
but listen, my head is kind of saying fiction. I hear people on that. The chat is blown up with fiction. Totally fiction. Totally get that. And I'll tell you, if I had to pick, I would say legitimately, I still think there's a small chance for Iowa, just because Iowa doesn't look that good as far as I just don't I think that we're going to be able to stop their run, because I think our run defense is legitimately decent. Okay. Mm-hmm. Legitimately decent. I'm not saying it's great, legitimately decent, which means you're going to force Gronowski into some tough situations. And I don't know if he really has that in him. Now, listen, if we are under 4, I'm not going to be surprised, but my heart is telling me I have to say fact.
That's fair. The chat would disagree.
Yes, they definitely do.
Chris, who called in yesterday, said, "Who the F are we upsetting?" I love this comment from El Mills, who calls it not just fiction, but science fiction. Yeah, I gotta sell this. I gotta say fiction, and I hate it. I don't think they're gonna go winless the rest of the way. College football, better teams lose all the time. Teams upset people all the time. It's not like Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa at home. Those are gauntlet games. I think they get somebody. But if I had to make a bet on it, this team hasn't shown me that they can beat anybody left on the schedule. And I don't know if it gets better. It could get worse. We could get more beaten up. We haven't even entered the meat of the schedule, Rajiv.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And what I would say is this. Remember last year, we lost our last 5 Big Ten games. It was awful end of the season. We almost beat the number 1 team in the country. The team that ended up being the number 1 seed in the playoffs, which I believe Oregon was the number 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But that, they were Big Ten champions. Come on. That was a game that we, with anyone else at quarterback, we win that game. We were in the Penn State game. So I do think that we can steal 1, maybe 2. I'm still going to believe that we'd find a way to beat PJ Fleck, because I just can't say anything else. I won't pick anything else other than us beating them. So maybe we find one more in October. Maybe Washington lays an egg. Maybe Illinois comes here and they look as bad as they did against IU. Who knows? But I got to believe still.
All right. What's your next one?
Okay. So I'm going to go through some PFF grades from the last couple years from a certain player. 2023, Ricardo Hallman's defensive PFF grade was 83.5, second on the team. 2024, it was 66.3, 14th on the team. This year, it's 52.6 overall defensive grade, 29th on the team, 29th on the defense. Is this fact or fiction? This is the greatest fall from grace that we have ever seen of any Badger player as far as a star going to potentially a liability on this team.
The first one that comes up, I'm going to say fiction because the first one that comes up to me is always whenever anybody has this type of question, my default answer is always Alondo Tucker. You want to talk fall for grace. You want to talk
football. Fine, football only. And really, it's just like that. It's just like that fall from. He was a star. I mean, we're literally talking about him being drafted in the top couple rounds, and he's virtually, a no-namer out there at this point.
I mean, I would say it might not be the biggest fall from grace, but I am struggling right now to think of a different one, a better example of a football player who was at that level and has fallen off to this level. I have a fact or fiction actually involving Rico coming up as well if we get to it. I'm going to say fact because I can't think of another player football-wise off the top of my head but Mertz, is Mertz a good example? From his recruiting pedigree to that Illinois start to where he finished at Wisconsin?
I would say so. I someone put that in there. Mitch Ames put Graham Mertz in the chat too. And I hear that argument. However, he is on an NFL roster. I think he's still on an NFL roster. And I'm not sure if he is or not. I'm pretty sure he is. Maybe he's not. He's a practice squad for the Texans or something. But he did go to Florida. He wasn't horrible there. And maybe Rico ends up coming out and playing in the NFL. But I just feel like Rico looks like literally a liability out there at this point. I mean, his coverage he literally went from one of our best players to a good player to not a good player. And it's been quite devastating to watch, honestly, to see this. And so I'm going to say fact just because I'm really shocked. You asked before the season started, you did a top 10 in the Discord about like the best players on the team. My number one was Rico Hallman. Like he was my number one player. He was my top player on this team, right? Like, and Reiger was up there and Brunner was up there. That's another one. Like, so we've had this sort of like fall from grace for some of these top players. And it is like, and it kind of goes into a slightly modified second part of this fact or fiction for me, which if I could entertain you with this one, this is just like the development of this team. Look at guys like Joe Brunner, Riley Mollman, Rico Hallman, like the list goes on. Now, a guy like Daryl Peterson has gone the other way and he's gotten a little bit better, but a lot of players on this team, Ryan, start here and they're slowly ticking down in their 3 years with this staff. What is this staff doing?
Well, I had a really good conversation with, I'm trying to remember one of the callers that called into our call-in show the other day. We were going back and forth on something I found really interesting and maybe an angle we haven't talked about quite enough. Specifically, this is more specifically on the offensive side, but Brunner, Mollman, those type of guys. How many different offensive coordinators and offensive line coaches have those guys had?
Yeah.
Right. And different schemes. Right. And then we want to say, well, why didn't Riley Mollman develop? I don't know, because he went from Joe Rudolph to Bob Bosted to Jack Bicknell to AJ Blazik, going from
right tackle to left tackle,
going from Chris to Ingram to Longo to Grimes in one career. Are we kidding me? Of course he didn't develop. It would be like taking a pilot and be like, we're going to have you fly Cessna. Oh, tomorrow, now you're flying a MiG. Nope, now you're flying a helicopter. Why aren't you a better pilot? Like, I don't know, dude. Give me one thing
Very
to
fair
learn.
point.
So I think that's the biggest thing is we've had too much coaching turnover, which is on the coaches hiring people, right? You got to hire the right people so those people stay so you have consistency and continuity. Sorry, I got a little hyped there, but I like these players aren't being set up for success either.
It's a very fair point. And it's something that I don't think about often enough. It's like, especially on the offensive line, there's been so much turnover, which is why you hear some people on Twitter kind of calling for consistency, even like keeping Luke Fickell and letting him ride out his 4 years, because there will be some consistency. Look, and even if he stays next year, there's going to be some turnover, namely the offensive line, but there's going to be people that leave. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. It's very fair. And I think that like you do have to, there's always nuance in these conversations and you do have to factor that in.
Let me give you that next one here. We're probably not going to get to all these, but we never do, which is great. That means we're actually having conversations, though, which again is the point of this show. It's the point of this community is to have conversations.
Heck yeah.
Fact or fiction, as currently constructed, everything that is going on with this team, we are actually closer to the Morton era teams than we are peak Christ, peak Gary Anderson, peak Bielema. This team is closer to those Morton era teams right now.
Gosh. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I think it has to be a fact. I would like to think there's an element of fiction in it, because I think we can all agree that we have a good base of young talent, which I don't know that you could really say about the Don Morton teams. And to be fair, I wasn't a fan during those years. I was a fan starting in the Alvarez era, so I can't speak to those, but I know a lot of our listeners can. But I know about the records that we had then, and I know that I think we have a good crop of young talent that coached well should develop into solid players. I mean, I think we all can look at the list of offensive linemen over the next 2 years that are going to be developing, and you're like, that looks pretty good. So I guess my official answer will be fiction, just because I think that the talent on this team, better with better coaching and more consistency and schemes that fit them better, I think we are closer. We're further away from the Don Morton stuff. But I hear that argument, and I understand why people say fact, because certainly from a record perspective, this could be the first time that, I mean, if we go 2-10 this year, holy cow, like it's early 90s since that's happened. So yeah, I mean, I hear that, but I'm going to go fiction because of the talent.
Yeah. So I'm actually fiction on this as well. In the chat, we have fact from KPB, fiction from Mills, fact from Will Hendrickson. 2-10 would speak for itself if that happens. I still think this team is those Morton era. That was over a period of time where this team was absolutely horrendous. This team did win 5 games last year and competed with an Oregon and competed with the Penn State. Those Morton era teams, when they would play a really good team, the scores would be like 44-3 consistently. So I think this team is better than those. I don't think we're there yet. So I'm also going fiction on this one.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it sad to be having that discussion about the Morton era? Good.
Dude, it's super sad, dude. I got one more. If you got one more, how many more do you got?
I've got one more football one, and then I've got a fun one. So
do it. Let's hit them all. Let's do them all.
Okay. All right. So here's my football one. Okay. So we're going to go through some players here. So right now, if you look at, again, PFF grades, as far as defensive grades, the 4th, 5th, and 9th highest grades on our defense are Aaron Witt, Nick Clayton, and Tyrese Fearbry, who have played a combined 87 snaps combined, versus the other edge rushers who are playing 158 snaps for Riger, which, listen, I'm not complaining about that. Peterson's, they're all over 130, 140, right? So that's generally where they are. Combined 87 snaps. Are we, and when we've talked recently about how the pass rush is better, but it's still not, we didn't get a ton of pressure on Malik Washington. We didn't get a ton of pressure on Ty Simpson. Are we underutilizing the depth of the edge room? Fact or fiction, we are underutilizing the depth by not giving guys like Witt, Clayton, and Fearbry more time on the field.
I'm going to say fiction on this, actually. I would like to see Fearbry get more reps. That's what I'd say. I really
he's
would
at
like
45. He's at 45 snaps.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty dynamic in practice. He's got a really unique body type. I would like to see him get more reps, but the other two, I look at a guy like Aaron Witt. I think you want to purposely limit his reps a little bit because of the injury history. And he is a guy that's not quite as great in space. Some of the teams that we've been playing have kind of spaced us out. That's not necessarily Aaron Witt's strength. And then Clayton's a true freshman. While I would like to see him more, see him mixed in, I don't hate that they're a little more limited. And I actually really like what Riger's done. I like what Daryl Peterson has done. I think Cheeks gives you some things athletically that the other two don't. So I'm going to say fiction on this. I'm actually not that worried about it. And I think the proof is a little bit in the pudding. The defense has been pretty solid. The run D has been good. Riger is one of the leaders in the country actually in pass rushes, in hurries per pass rush. So he's been getting to the quarterback, even though it has been always coming through with a sack. He's been getting there pretty consistently, collapsing the pocket. So I'm going to say fiction on this. I'm actually kind of okay with it, although I would like to see Fearbry get a few more reps.
So for me, this is a fact, and listen, Riger is the man. Okay, I don't want to take anything away from him, but what I do think is the more freshness you have in your pass rush, the more effective it is. Aaron Witt in 31 snaps has produced 5 defensive stops, which are a failure of the offensive type of play. It's stat on PFF. It's one of my favorite stats. 5, which is one of the highest on the team, by the way, other than Christian Allegro. Like, he has done really well. And I think every time Aaron Wood's played, I've liked what I've seen. I understand your point about in space. He's a little different. And then Fearbree, again, 45 snaps. I mean, Daryl Peterson, 101 snaps. And some of these guys are getting far, far higher, which, again, I understand. But if there was a little bit more distribution of those snaps when it comes to guys like Witt and it comes to guys like Fearbree and Nick Clayton, we can be a bit more fresh and we can get a little bit better pass rush, because look at the issues we're seeing from the secondary. One of the issues is pass rush. If we get more pass rush, and it's been better, but it still hasn't been great other than Reiger. If it's really great, we can help out our secondary a little bit. Give more people a chance to rush the quarterback and do whatever you can to help the guys in the backfield, because the defensive backs are a bit at a loss right now. And the only way that can get better without changing out those players is by improving your pass rush. So just get these guys on the field more. I just want to see a bit more of a distribution in snap counts because of how well they've played. Their grades are very high. They're doing really good work. Why not play them more?
I think it's fair. I don't hate it, but I think it's a fair take. I want to take one from the chat here, and we're just going to turn this into a fact or fiction, Rajiv. So bonus fact or fiction from Slim Lewis. You are clueless regarding Holman. It's the lack of pass rush and horrible scheme. Who can cover for 7 to 8 seconds? Rajiv, fact or fiction? It's not Holman. It's the scheme in the pass rush.
Fiction. It's definitely a factor. Like I just said, I think that you can help Holman certainly. But listen, there are plays where he wasn't covering for 7 or 8 seconds and he's still getting burned. He's still not seeing things the way that he used to. He's not playing as confident. I'm not saying he's like become a worse player. I think he's not playing very well. And to me, that's coaching. Always starts there. But there are games like in the Alabama game that he just looked a bit lost out there at times. There's times where, there's routes that you think he can properly cover. I mean, Middle Tennessee State, that wasn't a pass rush issue. We actually had pass rush on that play. We blitzed on that play. And we just said, Holman, you take the MTSU guy. He's your guy. We're going to blitz, and he's going to throw the ball in about 2 seconds. And he did throw the ball in about 2 seconds to a wide open receiver that Rico Holman was covering. So partially yes, but mostly no.
Yeah, I'm there with you guys. Like, we appreciate like every comment, and the discussions are great, but I also very respectfully disagree. Yeah, so Slim said respectfully disagree. I very respectfully agree with you, Slim, on this one. Listen, there's zone drops where he's playing so conservatively. He's giving up easy completions to quarterbacks and receivers that athletically he can hang with. He is just not. There's too many. Here's what it is. There's too many non-competitive reps from Ricardo Holman to the point where they are actively targeting him. We have talked about this. They are looking to go at Ricardo Holman opposing offenses. Like, the pass rush should get better. Yes, it's not like we had an elite pass rush 3 years ago where he was great. He just was playing better. And I don't know what it fully is, but he needs to play better.
He also continues to be one of the lowest rated tacklers on the team. And that continues. That has not gotten better.
All right. Ready for this one? Fact or fiction? Yeah. Not a total. Bear with me on this one. Not a total youth movement, but Wisconsin should look at some younger options at spots, i.e. Eugene Hilton, maybe getting more reps instead of Ballard, i.e. Kairos Gaines, maybe getting more reps instead of Rico, i.e. Nick Clayton, maybe getting some more reps, maybe Ryan Corey stays instead of Jake Renfro. Again, not punting on the season, not a youth movement, but maybe we need to start looking at some of those younger options.
Complete and 100% fact, except on the Renfro thing. I want Renfro playing if he's healthy 100% of the time, because we need some snaps. We need some solidity on that offensive line.
Posa, another one over Curtis. Saw that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Fact. Like, again, I kind of just said it with the pass rush. It's the same thing that applies here. Like, you need to see what these guys are. First of all, get them on the field that might entice them to stay a little more. If they're getting playing time, we need to keep hold of some of these guys. And let's see what these guys are. We've been very high on the 24 and 25 class because of the increase in athleticism, the increase in ceiling, and all these guys. Well, let's see it then. Like, I mean, just remember, like, when Xavier Lucas was out there last year, how much of an impact he had. He was one of our highest graded players last year on the team. And while Emilio Agard hasn't played great, like, he still was someone that impressed us. And Posa and Catalano and a lot of these guys, like, get them out on the field. Like, let's see what they are. You have nothing to lose. The alien space right there. You have nothing to lose. That's absolutely it. Like, at this point, yes, I want to keep winning, but I also want to see what we have to give us some kind of hope for the future.
Yeah, the one pushback I'd have, and I'm fact on this as well, by the way. I think it's, again, make it make sense. This doesn't mean every freshman starts from now, like going forward, make it make sense. But in certain areas, get some of the young guys talent, get some of the young guys reps. But the only pushback I would say is we have spent a lot of time saying, well, what do you expect from the offensive line? It's a bunch of redshirt freshmen playing. Just beware if you put those young guys out there, they are going to make some more mental mistakes. Now, will it matter because we've been playing so poorly anyway? Probably not. And that's kind of where I'm at. Let's see what they got. Let's get them reps. Let's get them better.
Well, and it's a healthy rotation, which is, by the way, you're kind of with the offensive line is why I said like Renfro needs to play, because I want the experience up there. But when you have like, if Riger's in there and you put Clayton on the other side of him and then you take Riger, you put Peterson in there, and then it's like, you can mix and match. I don't think they need to be starting and playing all the time, but like we've got, CA and Curtis are adequate inside linebackers, but that doesn't mean Posta can't get more reps and Catalano can't get more reps. Like, you can work them in, see what they have, putting them in different situations and pass rush situations and coverage situations and like like just use them more. When I went over the snap count, some of those guys, I'm just shocked. I'm like, why does Nick Clayton has like, it's 11 snaps. Like we played 4 games. Why is he not out there more? You're talking about we need to get the pass rush, so let's keep them fresh. Like, yeah. If that number was 30 or 40, okay. I'm not saying it needs to be 100, but it can be a lot higher.
Right. Find the mix. In other words, I agree with you there. Robert says the same people want Carter Smith, or the same people wanted Mertz over Cone. There is, and I put this comment up because there is an element of fans kind of always want the young, exciting player in there. It's not always better, and I think we acknowledge that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. Let's have a little more fun talk. Let's switch to basketball just for a little kick here. Okay, so this is a simple one. The Badgers haven't been to a Sweet 16 since Guard's first full year, 2016-2017. Haven't been back there since, missed a couple tournaments, and have had fairly, meager trips to the tournament. Fact or fiction, this is the year that changes, and Greg Gard's team gets to the Sweet 16.
I think it's a fiction.
Oh,
so listen, I'm really, so you and I have talked about this before too. It's really hard to get to a Sweet 16. It is. You have to get matchups. You have to have health. I don't think this team is going to play defense at the level it's going to need to play to get into the Sweet 16. I think there's going to be real rebounding problems, actually. I think this team could get destroyed on the glass in some games. So will it be fun? I think so. Will the offense be really good? I think so. Will it be a team that finishes competitively in the top 5 or 4 in the Big Ten? I think so. So I think it's going to be a really good year by Greg Gard that fans are really going to enjoy. If it's fact or fiction, this team gets to the Sweet 16, they got to show me they can play defense, because they didn't bring in, outside of maybe Andrew Rohde, they didn't bring in a defensive stopper. Nick Boyd's defensive numbers weren't great last year at San Diego State. Austin Raps weren't great. There's not a big man in the middle to really challenge a bunch of shots at the rim. And I think defensive rebounding is going to be a real problem for this team. And then you could get into the tournament, Rajiv, and this team is going to be so shooting dependent. You could just have one bad day shooting because you don't really have a great post threat. That's it. That's the run right there.
So I hear all those arguments, and very good arguments, and a lot of people in the chat agree with you on fiction. What I would say is this. First and foremost, you as a Phoenix Suns fan would know the good old days of Mark D'Antoni and the just offense wins all. Look, Nick Boyd is the name. He is the reason, because when you have a true point guard with guys like Nolan Winter, with guys like John Blackwell, with guys like Rohde and Rapp and the whole list here, you've got a floor general who's someone who can create spacing. And then you talk about the improvement they were expecting from Winter and the improvement that you're expecting from Winter and from Blackwell. This team offensively is going to be a juggernaut. Mm-hmm. I think we challenge Purdue. I think Purdue wins the Big Ten. They're the best team in the country. I think they're probably going to win the title. But we're going to challenge for the Big Ten. And yes, we're going to struggle defensively, but we are going to be far better offensively than we even were last year. We're going to have some warts here and there. But as far as overall offensive firepower, we're better than we were last year. And last year we were insanely good. We were still poor on defense last year. I think Nick Boyd totally changes the game for the Badgers this year. And yes, it's a little bit of hope and belief because I don't have a lot of that in the football program right now. So I am going to put my eggs in the basketball, basket. I'm going to go all in on Greg Gard. And I'm telling you, this team offensively is going to be it's going to be chef's kiss offensively. I really think we are going to see like insane numbers offensively. And so if we have a couple awards defensively and rebounding, we'll find a way through. We're going to be a high seed in the NCAA tournament, which is going to help propel us into Greg Gard's first Sweet 16 since 2017.
Dude, I love the optimism, man. I happen to love it. I absolutely love the optimism. A lot of what you said there is true. Nick Boyd is really good at manipulating pick and rolls. I've gone back and I've crunched a lot of his film at San Diego State. He didn't have the spacing there that he's going to have here. So his pick and roll manipulation and his ability to get downhill and finish with his left is going to be exemplified in this offense. It's going to give him a lot of interesting things. Andrew Rohde is an exceptional passer. I think they're going to set him up on the other side. So you can run pick and roll with Boyd and maybe Winter, then kick it to Rohde for a secondary pick and roll action where he's an elite passer. They're going to put teams in a blender defensively because they have elite spacing and a couple really good pick and roll manipulators. I think there's going to be a massive jump by Nolan Winter. So I get all that. But the way you glossed over, so what if there's a couple wards defensively or rebounding? Those are massive parts of this game. And you just so what if there's like a ward on defense or we can't have straight line drives or we don't rebound the ball? Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I love hoops, man. I am so excited for this team this year. Truthfully, I'm really excited. I don't know if it's going to be good enough defensively.
So you're one of the reasons that I'm so high on this team is because of the analysis you've done on Nick Boyd and this energy stuff that you've shared with me and things like that. So my question to you is, do you think Nick Boyd improves us defensively?
I think so. So nominally, if you look at the matchups, right, you're kind of slotting Nick Boyd into a role that Klesman and Kamari McGee had to some degree. Boyd's quicker than Klesman. He's bigger than Kamari McGee. But defensively, his metrics weren't great last year. Really what you need that this team didn't have last year, and I still don't know if they have this year, is a point of attack defender. Teams, really good Big Ten teams, have a longer, more athletic wing that's that point of attack defender. Could it be Andrew Rohde? I hope so. His film at Virginia was good defensively, but I don't know if he's an elite wing defender. I think that's what this team misses. I'll also give you another one. Blackwell, he needs to become the two-way star we know he can be. Mm-hmm. I have no worries about John Blackwell competitively on offense. He needs to be better on defense. He just does.
And I think he does this year because like he can focus a bit more on his role. Like I know that this offense doesn't necessarily equal defense, but he was he was forced into a role of being a point when he wasn't that. I think that kind of affected everything, even on the defensive side of the ball. He can really focus on his role now. I expect him to take a step defensively as well.
If he does, that's a big deal, right? Because he's a star offensively. There were too many possessions he took off defensively last year. If he takes a step there, then he's a two-way star in the Big Ten, and Boyd is going to be a kind of a great sidekick for him. I also think Winter has tremendous upside. I think Winter at the end of the year is the best player on this team. I've said that a couple times. So, dude, you can tell how fast I'm talking. Like, I'm really excited about this team. They got to prove it defensively, though. They just have. You don't have to be great defensively. With how good this offense is going to be, can they be average in the Big Ten? Because they weren't even that last year. That's where they have to get for this team to have a chance to make a run.
I also think that you got to give Greg Gard credit. And I think that Greg Gard, he knows how to coach defense. Like he knows that. I feel like he's going to make sure that they're better than they were last year defensively. Like we took a lot of steps offensively. We moved to Kirk Penny's kind of system. I think that's great. And now obviously that was a clear wart that he saw. I've actually even like interviewed him and talked to him about it a little bit. And I feel like I feel like he knows. And I think that he's going to make some improvements. It requires the players to make improvements, but I think that I'm not saying it's going to be great defense by any means, but all it has to be is marginally better if your offense is a lot better.
You know they're going to miss Stephen Crowell, right?
You know they will. They absolutely will. He's a huge loss, man.
Robert points out, waiting for Ryan to mention that this team will miss Crowell. Yes, they will miss Stephen Crowell. They absolutely will. That was a good one. I love hoops. I have one other one, but I think we're at 50 minutes and I can save it for the next one. Let me actually ask you a follow-on basketball one. Okay. How deep does this team go this year? So I was having this conversation with somebody that's kind of in the program, and I was asking, because thinking you have your 5 starters, right? Let's just game this out really quickly. So you have your 5 starters, which is obviously Boyd, Blackwell, Rapp, Rohde, and Winter. And then you have Janicki. You have Bialuskis, who I think is going to play. You have Braden Carrington, who came in as a portal guy. You have Elijah Gray. You have Will Garlock as maybe your only backup 5. That's already 10. How many players do they play this year?
I think legitimately it's probably going to be 9 because there's always going to be someone that we think will play that won't, and there'll be someone that surprises us. I think it probably ends up going 9 deep, which is a good thing, and hopefully it's not less than that. It can't really be less than that because we're going to need a lot of backups. But yeah, I say 9 deep. I think Garlock's actually going to get some real run this year.
I saw him twice in high school, which I talked about. One of the games we went to, Nick Hitchens was there with us. I saw him in the media practice, and he looked bigger. I'm telling you, I think he is going to play. I didn't think he was after I saw him in high school, but seeing him in Madison practicing with the team, I'll tell you this: the one thing he gives you is he gives you a rim running big, like an actual lob threat big that we haven't had in a long time. Let me throw this up here because JB said no one has love for JB. JB, man, we love you, dude. I absolutely love for JB.
I wanted to make a quick comment and just say, I know we've talked a lot of, there's been a lot of negativity around the football program for obvious reasons, and that's okay. However, if you're thinking about not going to the Iowa game, you should think about going because Locked On's going to be there. Justin, myself, Ryan, we're heading up. It's going to be great. And I mean, despite the product on the field, which is probably not going to be good, the best thing about that trip is seeing people that have listened to us and people that interacted with us. That it's so fun. I'm telling you, like and this is not just lip service. Like Ryan and Justin and I talk about this all the time, like how fun it is to go up there and hang out and drink beers with so many of you and just talk Badgers, talk anything else in your life. Like, it's just so fun. We went and got pizza with Patrick. It's so fun. I mean, there's so many great things. So if you're in town for Iowa, please let us know. It's going to be great. We're going to try to do a bar meetup of some kind, but come for that because it's special no matter what the product on the field is.
Yeah, it's well said. Nick says, JB, get you an Iowa ticket, get up here. Scott, who called in the other day, said where, how. So Iowa weekend. We'll put up some more details on the Discord, but we usually organize some type of meetup, some type of event where everyone gets together, we drink, and we talk Badgers, we eat. Last year for one of our meetups, we actually went to a local high school game and watched Will Garlock play together. Like a group of us Badger fans went there to watch that together, which was a ton of fun. This year, we're talking about maybe going to a women's hockey game together before the Iowa game. Like, it's a ton of fun, and we'll find something to do together where we're going to hang out. We'll have fun. So yeah, I would love to see everybody for sure. It's really well said. All right. On Wisconsin, you guys are amazing as always. Thank you so much as always for jumping in, for being part of this community, for being part of the chat. Rajiv, thank you so much as well. On Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk tomorrow. Some fun guests coming up. I think Nick Osen tomorrow. We have a couple 2026 recruits that are going to be coming on the show as well. So a lot of great content coming up as always. On Wisconsin, and we will talk later.